Every month I look at the opportunities at Y Combinator and I say, what can I capitalize on this month from my investor that will help me with my current startup? I would focus on AI because Y Combinator is going all in on AI. Demo day, there will be thousands of investors on Zoom, and I'm going to have to pitch them for several minutes on like why they need to invest in my company. Any Y Combinator event that happens, I would recommend highly going to. They generally do like a once a year healthcare event. They generally do like an event for they have like the women's founder event. They sometimes do something called startup school in person. They used to have this
Mhm.
massive hall that they would get. They would usually do it at Stanford University. So Stanford, they would just like get the whole hall and then they would fill it up with like thousands of people just to give a talk. And it would either be like Mark Zuckerberg, the founder of Twitter, they had the founder of Airbnb, a lot of
Mhm.
different founders. They would just have like, so if you get the opportunity to go to one of those startup schools, I actually would buy a
Yeah.
ticket and just go to it. I do have a piece of advice. If you're thinking about starting a company and you have one successful exit, I would recommend applying immediately to the next group. Take an idea, spend 4 hours drafting your application, and then
Okay.
just do it. Like people get really, it's not the right time. I don't know if I should do it. I don't have an idea. I think the founders are probably the most important piece of like what Y Combinator looks for. The one weakness you would probably have is if you're not technical, they may question how are you going to build it. Generally, like the
Mhm.
Y Combinator partners look for like recruitment. So either you're technical, that's a big check. But if you don't have a co-founder that can do sales, that's questionable. If you don't have another co-founder who can do more technical work, they're looking for like a group of two generally, like or more that like have met each other, they know each other. It also reduces the risk for Y Combinator, where like a single founder tends to be one point of failure and one point of like,
Yeah.
if you're not motivated, no one does any work. If there's two or
Yeah.
three founders, they generally like push each other. Like the founders of Google, two founders. The founders of Apple, there were actually three founders. The founders of Microsoft, there were several founders. Like the founders of NVIDIA, several founders. So they pull each other
Yeah.
across the finish line, and it makes me work harder. Like I have my own startup. Having two co-founders in my new startup, it actually makes me really I have points of coverage where I'm weak or they're weak, and we like help each other like a lot. If there's someone you know that like is your friend and you really liked working with, if it's a past employee at your last company, if it's someone that was one of the smartest people that you ever met in your life, and you're like, I'm just going to apply, I'm going to put your name on there, I'd really like to do it with you, 50-50 equity, just message them. Now, another thing is like equity split and roles and titles. So you're going to have to like just figure that out with that person really fast. But like
Mhm.
for me, I've been talking to one of my co-founders for like 6, 7 months for my new company, which is justpaid.io. And we
Mhm.
spoke about like a lot of different ideas. We were kind of brainstorming about ideas and saying like maybe this idea, maybe that idea. And then, 6 months later, my third co-founder, who became my third co-founder, messaged me in the middle of the night and just said, "Hey, I want to apply to Y Combinator." And I knew they were good. I knew that they were like rock solid, like a good, hardworking, like good person that I felt like I could work with. And I felt
Yeah.
like their energy would be really good in our company. But they had the like most formed idea of like what we would be working on. So I'm like, why don't I ask the person I'm talking to, and we could see if like there's a idea here to work on together. And idea was, happened. And then like week one, we applied to Y Combinator. So like three co-founders, idea all in one week, submit for the second company. You move fast. I think that's the thing. Like in
Yeah.
what could be stagnant is you not moving. I can tell you that right now. If you want to like sit on it and think about it, that's fine. But, you know, I feel like every time that there's an application opening is an opportunity for you to work with Y Combinator. Why would I
Hmm.
work with Y Combinator? Chances of success, even full, I've seen like rock star founders like fall flat on their face second time. Like I've seen them like companies implode, like they don't do well. I don't think that they either it's arrogance or burnout or something else that causes issues for them not to succeed. But if you have Y Combinator backing you, it gives you just a little more advantage over the normal founder. And someone asked me that. They're like, "Why would you do that? Like, why would you do Y Combinator again?" And I get that question asked to me like on a monthly basis. And for me, I take advantage of what's available there. And every month I look at the opportunities at Y Combinator and I say, what can I capitalize on this month from my investor that will help me with my current startup? Like I look at it every month and I'm like, what can I do? Talk to an advisor. Do they have an alumni event? They're very good at helping you recruit people. So they have like a lot of recruitment like tools and whatnot. So I use their recruitment tools.
Hmm.
Chances of getting into Y Combinator have gotten harder, but you are a second time founder. If you're humble and you have like that drive in you, they may give you a chance. They reject a lot of second time, third time founders, like because they sense weakness in a sense of like burnout or arrogance or they know better than Y Combinator, like in a bad way.
Yeah.
Like there's things that just rub off on
Yeah.
and like they'll sense that really fast, like either in the application or they'll do an interview. So being a second time founder doesn't mean you're just going to get it. I would focus on AI because Y Combinator is going all in on AI. It could be AI for death care, AI for cars, AI for video cameras, AI for desks, AI for robots, AI for like lighting, AI
Yeah.
AI for like biking, AI for like assistance on cell phone attachments. Like, but just like what I would do is layer out like maybe over the next like 4 or 5 days is get 50 ideas on a whiteboard or someplace on a piece of paper, pick one, and then move fast, and then just apply. I went through Y Combinator with several people from Germany. They went back to
Hmm.
Germany, but I think they got a lot of benefit from doing Y Combinator. A lot of founders just stay here in the US. So once they're here, they get like a
Yeah.
visa. They create their company here. Like Y Combinator does not invest because you don't have an entity. Like a Delaware C corp is what generally all startups and like create. Most startups create Delaware C corps because it's friendly to companies. You can have a certain number of investors. Delaware C corp. So like Facebook's a Delaware C corp, Apple's a Delaware C corp, Segment.io is a
Hmm.
Delaware C corp, Airbnb's a C corp. I wouldn't be surprised if Luma is a C corp, Google's a C corp, Delaware C corp. So like generally like what happens is Y Combinator likes you as a person. They like your idea. They like your co-founder. Your co-founder is technical. You're on sales. You pick one person to CEO. And then they go, okay, you don't have a Delaware C corp. That's fine. We'll just work with you to incorporate, and then your investment will go in after that. That's more the norm,
Hmm.
actually, where a lot of the companies don't have an incorporation. Family will pull you in a certain direction. Other like investments will pull you in another direction. People will pull you in all these different directions for like building a company. And when you have Y Combinator giving you your first investment money, it creates an excuse to hyper focus and say no to everything else. And a lot of founders die by lack of motivation. Like they just get deterred. They have like matters that are important, but are they really important? So like you kind of are forced to clear your calendar and say, I have 3 months before this big event. And this big
Hmm.
event is demo day. And at demo day, there will be thousands of investors on Zoom and I'm going to have to pitch them for several minutes on like why they need to invest in my company. So it creates this pressure where you have to one get customers and as many customers using your product, possibly paying you for the product, and then you like will pitch demo day. There are like big picture companies, like companies that will be like curing AIDS, right? Or things like that. They may just have like other I'd call it like milestones that will allow investors to invest. So like depending on like if you're building like rockets or if you're building like the next Concorde, which is a really fast jet that goes the speed of sound. If you're
Yeah.
building like a Concorde type company, I think people would understand and you pitch the idea and then you get the investors who really believe. When you do demo day, you're getting a lot of good investors from around the world and condensed in Silicon Valley that believe very quickly in you or not. So like they make quick decisions. So a lot of the investors that
Yeah.
are on demo day know I'm not going to mess with this and this startup founder because they just did demo day and then they have 300 other meetings lined up. So I need to make a decision within so much time because I might miss out on an amazing founder who has 300 other investors lined up. So like I think in other parts of the world, investors tend to move slower and they tend to be very, very cautious because that's just a lot of the world. But I think in Silicon Valley, like you see and you lose out on deals very quickly. I'll give you an example. Like someone came up to me and is like, "Hey, do you want to invest in X.AI? I'll give you a week." That's Elon Musk's new company. Do I make the investment or do I not? Like it moves fast. Demo day does approach and it creates a lot of pressure for founders. And I'll show you this. Let me just demo day is in
Yeah.
32 days for a batch. So they have
Yeah.
32 days to get their product ready,
Oh, that's
32
so
days
cool.
to
Yeah.
get customers, and it's a countdown. Now, why do I have this? Because for me, it reminds me of that pressure all the time. You need to be focused. You need to be building. You need to be like hyper focused because there are milestones in a company. So, and here, just some insights. So here you can see like they have their internal software for thousands of founders. You can book office hours. There's a schedule for anyone who's in Y Combinator. So there's a really organized schedule to like keep you focused, help you build, make sure you're going in the right direction. And then they have like a lot of manuals and stuff
Mhm.
like that for the founders. Like, so say you want an advisor, they'll have a manual on advisor. Say one investor wants some structure. It's like making the documents more complicated. They basically set the timer once they invest in you, and that timer for those 3 months go off. It's like you never shoot you ever see those races where they shoot the gun? Dogs or horses or like whatever it
Yeah.
is, turtles start
Yeah.
moving. You're like, that's the moment, like the moment they say yes, they want to invest is the moment the clock starts where you have to incorporate, make sure the money goes in in from Y Combinator. Then you have to like literally start building like as fast as possible and see if you can get users, right? And then if you get users, can you get revenue? And sometimes it's users, sometimes it's revenue, sometimes it's both. Life is about opportunities. Apply and also look at startups. And if you don't get into Y Combinator, that's okay. It's like the people that get discouraged and give up, like they never get in. Like that's the thing. I spoke to one founder who applied 3 times and he got in on the third try. And his mindset was, I'm going to build my company no matter what, but I'm just going to keep applying to Y Combinator because I want them as investors.